Hi all and welcome back to another episode. Today the game I have for you is none other than Little Nightmares. Now, Little Nightmares is a 2.5D horror puzzler from Tarsier Studios that was released for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC in 2017, with a Switch port coming later in 2018 and some mobile ports a bit later in the 2020s. I've seen various clips and videos over the years of our hero Six navigating the world of Little Nightmares and thought I'd give it a crack. Although the game is famous, I went in pretty much blind. Its overall polish and presentation blew me out of my socks. We awaken to meet Six, who is emerging from a suitcase in a large, rain-soaked area of the ship she finds herself on. The ship feels very old, very cold, and very careless. Lots of steel and timber structures and raining constantly. Little Nightmares loves using wide open shots to convey how tiny you are in this great and scary world. And I think they've done a great effect here, showing the scale of the world that Six resides in. As we make our way through the first areas of the ship, we're greeted by the game's phenomenal soundscape. There are lots of ambient noises that are both very unsettling, and Everything really in the world sounds quite old, quite dilapidated, and we are haunted by this mysterious, ominous sound that's far off into the distance. But just for now, we focus on moving forward. As Six makes her way through some dark service corridors, we duck between some dark slugs. They don't seem very friendly. As we get introduced to a little pyramid head looking fellow as he falls into slime and runs to safety. Now, writing this now, I maybe realize that these creatures are guides to Six on what to do next and where to go. After we escape the slug parade, we come to our first real puzzle, a classic door timing puzzle. You have to quickly crank the handle all the way and sprint across and jump before it closes on you. After making it through that very door, we get a glimpse of one of the janitors dragging something behind him off in the distance. A new room and a new puzzle. We need to use the cabinets in the room to climb around the two power doors and find a way to power them down so that Six can safely pass. Once we make it past those pesky powered up doors, we see a bunch of children that have been turned to stone. Now this room is guarded by an ever patrolling eye that stops you from passing. Time it right, going cover to cover, and you climb your way to freedom. Now, I'm not ashamed to say that I didn't realize climbing was a mechanic, and it took me 5 minutes to figure this out. Climb up and away from the eye, and we come to the prison's medical wing, as we're confronted close up by the hideous figure from earlier. Checking on the health of the sleeping kids, and keeping an eye out for intruders, making sure to sneak quietly past them so you don't get added to the sick list. A little further on, and Six gets bad hunger pains, but is helped by a nearby child who's still being held captive. Now, in this scene, as Six is eating, we get eerie chimes that fill us with a sort of despair, giving off a real haunting tone, adding the unexpected weight to this situation. Setting up what you might ask? We shall find out much later. Coming across some crates, we managed to use them to transport us to the ship's administration section. Making our way through this dark and dreary ship, we are constantly hit with images of the hangman's noose, adding to the game's bleaker tone. Now, I really didn't expect such strong and creative visuals coupled with such a dark tone and setting. This game that I didn't really know what to expect at first has me hooked from about the second chapter. Taking the noose from earlier downwards, we can pass the noose that was blocking our way from earlier and make our way into the second room guarded by another mysterious eye. This eye is a little more devious this time around. Now, instead of having the luxury of static cover, you now have to contend with a rolling trolley for cover. Now, you make sure to be extra careful with your timings as you make your way forward. Now, something else cool I noticed about this room, the sway of the trolley is timed to the swaying of the ship. I know it's something small, but I thought it was quite a nice touch. Now, after we safely escape this room and make our way back outside, we are treated to another wide open shot of the Moor, and Six manages to finally escape the prison and make our way into the belly of the Moor. As we come to the ship's maintenance and storage section, we emerge into the lair, making our way through some office-looking areas to someone's private quarters. Now we come to a bathroom, a bed, and a key. Now you can call it a hunch, or call it what you will, but something tells me I need to get that key from the nearby desk. We use a nearby level to drop down the fold-out bed and find a suitcase we can use to jump on the bed and cabinets and make our way to the exit. Now, on my way out of the room, Six yeets the key out the ledge, which unlocks the door and lets us escape yet another trap. As Six makes her way down into another dark and dreary room below, Six is yet again tortured by her vicious hunger pains and stumbles into a dark room. Now, in the middle of this dark room, there's a cage with a suspicious piece of meat in it. Carefully, cautiously, a cursed janitor snatches us up and drags her away. Now, Six awakens in a massive room of cages full of children, who unfortunately tried to previously escape and been unsuccessful. Everyone is shrouded in terror and relative darkness. Now, we use the time-honored tactic of moving a little to the left, and we get our cage to fall over and recrawl our way to freedom. Making it deeper into the holding area, we find our escape route and use a handle that is high up to make our escape. But how do we access this handle, you ask? In another bleak scene, Six drags over one of the cages of the nearby kids that are trapped in there with her, climbs on it, and uses the cage to help her get out of there. Survival at any cost. Now onto the next room, and we come to a major confrontation with the janitor. Doing odds and ends, and all white on the left for Six or any of the escapees from the previous room. The janitor appears almost demon-like with their thin veil of skin that has dropped to reveal their darkness beneath. After Six survives another close encounter, we come to a mysterious room full of boots and suitcases, as we make our way to get chased down by a mysterious monster hiding in those very leathery depths. So make sure to use the suitcases as your own little safe harbor in this boot-flavored abyss. Another room and yet another unimaginable horror. We are hunted by yet another janitor in what appears to be a creepy doll factory. So you have to find yourself an opening and sprint past him into the next area. And now we come to a room with 3 large clocks. Now another visual representation of the hangman's noose, as the clocks are all in different stages of being hanged from the ceiling. Onto our next room and our next challenge. We need to break down a door, and in the process of destroying that door, we knock over a clock. Now we have to use that clock to temporarily stun the janitor, so we can rush past him before the door to freedom closes on us. After we manage to make our escape and into the ship's library, we're treated to yet another spectacular set piece. Six is frantically climbing up the bookcases to escape while music picks up and the janitors hurl their laments at you. As once we get to the library proper, Six needs to find another crank to escape. So we make our way through the library in one of my favourite sections of the game, as the janitor stalks the library halls below us and we painfully sneak across the bookshelves above him using various toys and knickknacks to distract him, while staying away from his creepy long arms, as we make our way to the back office to get the crank. Now once in the back office we find a TV set. Now it mustn't be allowed on this ship too much, because once turned on, the janitor that was once hot on my heels can be walked right past without incident. Taking this final opportunity while the janitor is distracted, we desperately make our way to the lift, start the crank that raises the platform up and gives us our way to freedom. After that pulse pounding fiasco, we get some downtime. As we make our way through some destroyed catwalks, we finally come to the ship's laundry. Just as quickly as we arrive, we are no sooner being hunted by another janitor through the laundry halls. He catches up with us at the end of the hall, but luckily for us, the door between us and him has only enough room for his arms. Now a few failed attempts later, and I figured out that you need to time it in between the arms that are hunting you, and as sneakily as you can start to take apart the box that's holding up his door, bit by bit until the crate falls and we say goodbye to Mr. Janitor. After leaving the laundry, we are awakened in a nearby meat processing area. Large industrial grade meat hooks and piles of bodies absolutely everywhere. Now I don't think this ship is a place you want to go and eat at. As we make our way towards the kitchens, we get yet another great wide open shot of the chef as you approach his domain on a meat hook. Now before our kitchen showdown, Six is hungry yet again, and we come across a rat caught in a trap, and Six has a munch. Heavy scene, I think. It has 2 meanings. Both that Six isn't a rat in a trap, but also that the Moor is taking its toll on Six. All while a chorus of children in the background hum, making this a really, truly chilling scene. After that, we finally come to the kitchen. As we approach, we hear the chef loudly sharpening his knives. Be careful here. The chef's movement can seem quite quick and hard to judge. Now, don't be afraid to take your time learning his patterns before moving through his kitchen and upwards through his rafters to find the key to his big door that is blocking that exit. Using the rafters to climb your way upstairs, we make our way to the chef's bedroom and the key to the exit. It's hanging on a hook at the end of the room. Now again, we have to give it a shake to pry it loose. But this chef is one alert dude, so as soon as the key is free, quickly hide and he'll lose interest and head back downstairs. Sneaking through the kitchen again is the same as before, but now only slightly slower. Again, you have to be very careful making your way back to the kitchen, as the chef is just as unpredictable with his movements. So give yourself a wide berth. Now once we finally make it out of that little tense area, we come to the butcher room and a sausage maker. Heading upstairs using a nearby dumbwaiter, we need to find all the ham in the freezer upstairs to chuck it in the sausage maker, which will allow us to crank out enough sausages to escape the room. As we're onto the next room, we come to the butcher room proper. This section is a dance of elevators. Now we start below in cold storage and we need to get to the elevator upstairs. But to progress, unfortunately for Six, the chef doesn't believe the elevators can work on their own. So he will go down and investigate after the ugly sod makes his way past you, some to head upstairs and find the key to his door. While you head upstairs, we are soon once again joined by the chef and have to take his key off his bench. But first, we need to distract him from his work. So we sneak to the back of the room and turn on the meat processor, and then beeline it back to his bench, steal his key, and make our way triumphantly out and onto the next area. The next room we come to, we see 2 chefs doing the dishes. Now, the way we make our way into this room makes you feel so small and vulnerable in the face of the two hideous cooks. We head backwards to the other end of the room inside an overhead rail system, and now the real fun begins. We need to carefully and quickly sneak back and past the two chefs taking turns at different benches and climb a central pile of dishes in the room, holding on and make our way to the escape. But wait, it's not over yet, as more of those pesky cooks are onto you. So with some careful timing, and when getting to the next room, make sure to quickly let go and run away from the others as they try and grab you. After we survive this little ordeal, we now take a brief walk outside and are treated to another fantastic wide shot, followed up by a glimpse of the Moor and its hideous patrons. As we move closer and follow the guests' entry into the Moor, we are confronted by some really meaty throat singing as we watch the guests make their way into the ship. The whole scene feels detached and very monotone as the guests take their places and do exact. Sneaking through more of the Moor's dining area, we get hit with the crushing sounds of them all stuffing their face to such an absurd degree that if you cross their line of sight, they struggle to even catch you. The comparatively clean guest area contrasted against the grimy ship, coupled with the grotesque nature of the guests, isn't lost on me, as a much cleaner and well-maintained area can be just as dirty as the darker parts of the ship. As we make our way through the back house of parts of the dining area from earlier, we have to contend with yet another chef. Now, as we head back down again and are confronted by borderline feral guests as we're discovered, and we make our way through the restaurant, as we see the guests fall all over each other and themselves trying to catch six. In a rather horrifically desperate spectacle, they knock over each other, they knock each other out of the way, they roll and carelessly throw themselves ever closer to six. But thankfully, we managed to escape this grotesque horror by swinging away from a nearby lampshade. After all that, we finally make our way to the last and nicest part of the ship, the private quarters of the Mother of Moor. Now, her rooms compared to the other parts of the ship are nicely furnished upon entry. Our first challenge for this part is we need to find a key to her locked door. Heading upstairs to look for it, we come across the mother herself. She is eerily combing her hair and humming to herself in a mirror. Finding her key in the back of the room, once collected, the seemingly unaware mother disappears in a whisper. Heading back down and unlocking her first door, we enter a dark and slightly ominous room that is filled to the brim with mannequins. Now, this, folks, feels a lot like a game of cat and mouse. She is such an imposing figure compared to six. Coming to a large room atop the mother's quarters, we find a strange room that is filled to the brim with mirrors. Now, our eyes are drawn to a side room where we find a personal mirror of the Mother of Moor herself. And upon returning to the central chamber, everything goes pitch black, and Mother begins stalking us, using her mirror to show her own reflection, which makes her confront what she is and what she's become, in service of the Moor. Let's say it breaks her spirit. Laying there defeated and broken, Six once again is stricken with feral hunger and chows down on the mother, taking her powers from her. Six, now heading through the central restaurant area, is destroying the guests where they sit. Even though Six makes it out and makes it to sunnier skies, this doesn't feel exactly like a happy ending. Little Nightmares is a simply amazing game, and I see why it has the fame that it has. Now, I was unsure at first what I was getting into, as a horror puzzler really isn't my normal genre, but I gotta say that around halfway point I was absolutely hooked on this game. The game is really dark and oppressive, coupled with some outstanding and creative visuals and a haunting soundtrack makes it an easy recommend for me. Thanks again for joining me on this adventure, and I'll see you next time.